I was first involved with grand corruption in 2004. Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, asked me to join a small committee of three headed by Paul Volcker, the former head of the United States Reserve. And the inquiry was into the corruption that was associated with the United Nations program on Iraq oil. The Security Council decided to lift oil sanctions against Iraq because people were starving in that country, but they insisted that all the monies be paid into an account controlled by the United Nations. Saddam Hussein, who was then the autocratic leader, kleptocratic leader of Iraq, insisted behind the scenes on 5% break-off for him personally of all the oil sales and the proceeds of those oil sales. The amount he received came to many billions of dollars. And there are allegations that UN personnel were involved, governments were involved, and so forth. Anyway, it was a big investigation. We set up quite a large office of nearly 100 people. And what it taught me was that corruption is universal. South Africa is not special. Zimbabwe now is being named as not special. Unfortunately, corruption, I think, is in the human gene. The poor people who pay for corruption. The wealthy shrug their shoulders and may disapprove of it, but it doesn't affect their life. The money is taken away from the very people who make our society so unequal, particularly in our own country, South Africa, where the Gini coefficient indicates that South Africa has the greatest gap between the wealthy and the poor of any country in the world. That's something that we should be utterly ashamed of. It is really completely wrong to blame corruption or any other ills in our society, the inequality, on the Constitution. We do have the most modern and up-to-date Constitution and an exemplary Bill of Rights. The problem is that the Constitution can't force people to do the right thing. The Constitution can't stop people from stealing. The Constitution can't stop people from murder and committing bank robberies. So that's not the job of the Constitution. The Constitution is to order our society. The Constitution is there to ensure that people have fair trials, because as bad as corruption is, nobody wants innocent people to be found guilty of corruption when they're innocent. So that's what the Constitution is for, to bring about equality. It seems to me a pity that the Constitution hasn't been used more by the post-apartheid governments to level the property inequalities in our country. People blame the Constitution. It's really the lack of political will that should be looked at, not the Constitution. The whole problem surrounding corruption is inefficient policing and inefficient prosecution. There can be no question about that. In any society, the more efficient the police, the more efficient the prosecuting authority, the more efficient the courts, the lower will be the crime rate. And that's true, obviously, of corruption. The prosecution service was gutted during the Zuma administration. That's common cause. Nobody questions that anymore. And the leading members of our National Prosecuting Authority have gone to Parliament and said that our system has been gutted. We need more people and more efficient people. Also, the Prosecution Authority has to be independent. It's for that reason that I fully support the campaign and project of accountability now for having a Chapter 9 institution to head corruption, and particularly at the leadership level. The problem really lies in the hands of the politicians, but they are subject to public opinion. And it's very important that we should all South Africans, and particularly young South Africans, it's their future that is being dealt with. Many of us on this program, and I include myself, aren't going to be around for too many years, but the young people are. And they're going to have to live in the world that our present-day leaders are making for them. The great American Justice Louis Brandeis said, our government is the potent, the omnipresent teacher. Crime is contagious. If the government becomes a lawbreaker, it breeds contempt for the law. It invites every man to become a law unto himself. It invites anarchy. I think those words should be really put on the door of every lawmaker at every level, the national level, at the provincial level, and the local level. The example has to be set from the top. If it's not set from the top, then as Justice Brandeis suggests, everybody becomes a breaker of the law. So it's, again, in the end, it's political will, but the political will should be driven by the people who are most affected by it.